Hey everybody, it's Samantha. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about my typical routine and maintenance for my 60-gallon cube Reef Aquarium. I'm going to be showing you how to do a water change for, as well as talking to you a little bit about the equipment and everything that kind of goes along with keeping a reef aquarium. I do already have my waters mixed behind me, so I'll get right to the water change. Alright everyone, so before I start my water change, I want to talk to you a little bit about a very important piece of equipment called a refractometer. So what this does is it reads the salinity levels or the salt levels within the aquarium, as well as the water that you will be mixing for your water changes. The salinity in a reef aquarium should be 1.023 to 1.025, and a little bit on the lower side towards 2.3 if you don't have what's called an auto top-off. And that basically just accounts for evaporation that happens within the aquarium, because when the water actually evaporates, the salt will stay in the aquarium and will raise the salinity. So the salinity is very important, and it's good to have something that's very reliable. A lot of people tend to use what's called a hydrometer, which doesn't do the same thing, but it does read salinity. But they can be a little bit inaccurate. They're very temperature dependent, and if you mix your water a bit colder and then let the water sit and kind of rise in temperature, the salinity can change and it will give you a couple different readings. So these are a lot more accurate and very easy to use. All you do is you place a drop of your aquarium water right there onto the lens and then kind of fold this down. And after you do that, you're going to want to look into as bright of light as you can find, and just look into it. You can adjust this eyepiece here by rotating it, and it'll focus it for you, and then it'll show you a nice chart, and it'll have all your number readings on there. So these are definitely very important and not very expensive for what they are. They used to be a lot higher in price, but now you can get a good one for maybe like $60, which is really awesome. The hydrometers are definitely cheaper, but if you're going to trust your aquarium to something, I would definitely recommend a refractometer. Alright, let's get to our water change. Alright everybody, so I'm going to be starting my water change on the 60-gallon cube Reef Aquarium. First things first is you want to make sure you shut off your heater, your power head / circulation pump, as well as your protein skimmer if you're using the same brand as me. I'm using a Reef Octopus 110S skimmer on here. They are very water height dependent, so when I shut the main pump off, the water is going to rise in the sump, and that could lead to this cup filling up with water if the skimmer's left on. So I have to make sure that I turn the skimmer off first before shutting off the main pump. Alright, well, I'm going to go get that done so we can get started here. Alright everybody, so first things first is you're going to want to grab something called a siphon. You're going to want to suck on the end of the tube to get the water flowing through it so that you create a nice vacuum. Now you're really going to want to get into the sand bed with what's called a gravel vacuum, which is what I'm using on the end of the siphon to get into the substrate and the sand. This basically just picks up any excess waste from the fish. There's definitely a lot of waste buildup that happens in the substrates of aquariums, so you want to make sure you clean that every water change. every reef aquarium, you're going to have something called aptasia, which is a type of pest anemone. They tend to grow around corals and the crevices in the rock in order to sting them. If left untreated, it can stress and possibly kill your corals over time. There's a lot of different invertebrates that will eat the aptasias, such as peppermint shrimp. I tend to like to use the Aptasia X because it's very easy to use. All you do is you spray the Aptasia X directly into the aptasia's mouth and it kills it. The aptasias can get out of control if there's an abundance of nutrients within the aquarium. So if you have a lot of aptasia, that just means there's too much nutrients and you must do a water change or stop overfeeding. That's a big problem in reef aquariums and many other aquariums as well, as people tend to overfeed. Here you can see I just moved a coral. It seemed a bit stressed out where it was, and personally I didn't like it where it was very much, so I moved it and tried it into a different spot. You can tell if a coral's happy, if it's nice and puffy and big looking. If it's all closed up and scrunched, that means it can potentially be stressed. Alright guys, so I have all the water drained that I need to drain for my water change. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the filter media that you typically use in the reef aquarium. At least once a month you're going to want to change out your activated carbon. You're going to want to rinse it really well before putting it into the sump area. You don't want any of the carbon dust getting in the aquarium, as well as your filter pad. This catches particles such as sand and waste that goes through the aquarium's filtration system so that it does not go into the tank through the sump. So there's a little drawer in the back there where you would put the filter pad. There's Morty. Alright, I'm going to get her filled up. Alright everybody, so I have it all filled up now. I'm going to start turning on everything, starting with the circulation pump as well as the heater. Then I'm going to turn on the main pump, and after the sump is at a reasonable level, right at this little sensor right here, I'm going to turn back on the skimmer. Alright, here we go. That's it for today. I hope you guys learned a little bit about reef aquariums and their care, and I hope you guys enjoyed everything. Alright, everybody have a beautiful day.